Welcome to Reap What You Sow. Today I have a very special guest. This man has not only been just an incredible acrobat, yoga acrobat, an inspiration, a fitness model, a just overall badass when it comes to just the most extreme sports, from motorcycling to being a stuntman. Andreas Alfaro. Welcome.
Thank you, Seth.
Welcome, man. What a journey you've had. Just all the stuff that I've learned about you over the years, and just how much you've grown and how much stuff you've been into. It's just mind-boggling. Just like I don't know. How did you get into all these things?
Man, it's been a wild ride for sure. These last few years have propelled me to what I believe that I've what's been my true calling in life, and that is to fully explore and push the boundaries of movement and my physical capabilities. So I was originally a gymnast for 8 years, and kind of got a little sidetracked and started, going to the classic route, going to school, getting a job, pursuing the money a little more,
sure,
instead of pursuing my passions. And a few years ago, it got to the point where I decided that, you know what, doesn't matter how much money I'm making, but if I'm not happy, it doesn't matter if whatever money I'm making doesn't really matter if I'm not happy, you know. And it got to that point where it was I just wasn't happy, and I decided to really pursue the things that matter to me and what makes me happy, and here we are.
Wow. And what was the first thing you went? Did you go back to doing gymnastics, or did you go where did that first passion take you?
So after I did gymnastics, I got injured. I had a ACL surgery, and then that took me out, and doctors told me you'd never do gymnastics again and everything. So I kind of let the gymnastics dream go. Yeah. And I started getting into martial arts. This was back when I lived in New York. And then I was personal assisting at the time, and I got a job as a personal assistant out here in LA, which is what got me out to LA originally. And it was my life was the Devil Wears Prada, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So I was making the money I was looking to make, but really, I felt like my body was kind of deteriorating, and I wasn't doing the things that really lit my soul on fire. Mm-hmm. Fast forward a year, started to reconsider everything and my life choices and everything. I was you know what, I'm not happy. This isn't making me happy. I feel like I need to move more. I need to explore my body, and I was craving for that gymnasticsy, acrobatic again, and push myself to the limit, because I knew that's one thing I'm really good at, is pushing the.
I'd say so. From the stuff that I've seen, man, you're hanging off the side of a building. You're oh, I'll climb up this 400-foot ladder for no reason, just because you seem like you like that adrenaline and that more stuff that excites you.
Exactly. Literally, it lights my soul on fire. It makes me so happy. And and so many people are oh man, that's so dangerous and everything. I was it's actually where I find the most peace. And it's when I'm literally climbing skyscrapers and stuff, it's there's just so much focus that it takes to be in the moment. So I'm super present. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of in a sense a meditation for me too.
I completely relate to that. I'm an adrenaline person as well, but the idea of riding a motorcycle at 100 miles per hour, 150 miles per hour, you can't think about anything else but doing this activity. If you're same with surfing or with skateboarding, snowboarding, any of these other things that I like to do, you can't be doing anything else, because you have to pay attention, or else you'll get hurt. And so that's why it sucks you in so much, because you have to be there, or else some terrible things can happen.
It can cost you your life.
Yeah.
There's no room for multitasking or being distracted, and in this day and age where we're just so used to constant stimulation and doing 1,000 things at once, it's priceless to be in those moments and chase those.
And so that led you down this rabbit hole of, wow, I really like this, but maybe gymnastics isn't the move. And then you find maybe acro yoga, or was that the transition, or was it in the stunts? What was the next move after this?
Yeah, so once I moved out here to LA, I fell into the acro yoga community out here in Santa Monica. Started playing around with that, and that got me back into acrobatics after years of not doing gymnastics. And now I finally trusted myself. I was my knee is healthy. I'm I feel like I can do this again. So I really started getting into that. I started training for Ninja Warrior. Started working behind the scenes as obstacle development and testing there.
So cool.
And then a few years later, a group of us got together and we decided to go audition for America's Got Talent. So we put together this acrobatic weightlifting routine where we combine acro yoga and weightlifting. And that's what really propelled my acrobatic career and got me back into that.
Yeah, that was an amazing time because that's right when I met you guys.
Exactly.
I was through that, and that was just unbelievable. I was there when you guys got the phone call of "You're on."
That's right. Yeah, we were doing the suit shoot in downtown.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, "Whoa, what an amazing day!" And so that's really cool. So that really propelled you in all these other things. And now I remember seeing some stuff of you doing more acrobats and more of these stunts too, is where that kind of seems like it shifted. Whereas, well, maybe I'll start being more of a stuntman, and you're doing stuff with martial arts and katanas and fight scenes and all this other stuff. So I take it that's kind of the next, like that was the next route, I guess, that kind of spawned from it.
Yeah. Well, one thing real quick, I just want to say, like,
yeah,
I really appreciate it. I'm grateful how you've been there from the start, like literally from that moment, from when we got that phone call in that parking lot and we were doing the suit shoot, and we started our journey with you. That was like super awesome. And man, I know, like, this relationship is here to stay, and we're going to keep on doing so many beautiful and awesome things together.
I agree. And thank you guys, man. It's a great relationship. I feel like there's always been a great back and forth.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's always reciprocated both ways, and I can't thank you enough for that.
That's when it works,
But yeah.
But to answer your question, stunts is actually something I've always wanted to do ever since I was a kid.
Really?
That was the reason why my mom put me into gymnastics, was because I would go to the movies. I'd see all these like superhero movies, Spider-Man, Batman, Zorro, all these movies, and I'd be like, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. So my mom put me into gymnastics so originally I could learn how to do a backflip. And then I just fell in love with the sport and stuck with it.
That was the one thing you wanted, was I just want to do a backflip.
I want to do a backflip.
Yeah, I still can't. I can do one off of like a diving board. Or like off
trampoline.
No, never
no
tried.
Trampoline.
No, I've always been afraid. I've been more. I learned how to backflip in the water maybe 3 years ago during the pandemic. I finally worked up the courage to do it because I was like, well, I can't get hurt in the water. And every time I get on every time I get on a trampoline, I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna do it, and then I just do a front flip, and I'm like, I'm good. I get all nervous. It scares the hell out of me.
It's scary, man. It's scary going backwards. It's not like, but it's funny, actually. I mean, you might have a hard time believing me when I say this, but a backflip is actually easier than a front flip.
Everyone says that, especially for snowboarding. Like I'm trying to learn this thing called a tame dog, which is where you do a front flip, but it's almost like an aerial because you're sideways. So you do it off your left foot. I'm regular. So
like a side flip?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's like a side flip. And everyone is like, just learn how to backflip. I'm like, I don't know how to. It's scary. So that's the next move. Maybe I'll have to go to like a trampoline park with you guys. I need to bounce around.
That could be the next adventure for us. Of like, let's go to a parkour gym or a gymnastics gym, and like we'll teach you how to backflip off a trampoline.
That'd be crazy.
And then from there, you can like take it anywhere. You could do it off a diving board, off a boat. Yeah. Eventually on the floor. But yeah, it's rewiring the brain to be okay going backwards and like flipping, like literally taking diving into the unknown, because we don't know what's back here, right? It's like here we can see what's going on, and for some reason mentally and psychologically that's it's easier for the brain to process.
And even then you really can't, though. When I do a front flip, I can't see anything.
Yeah,
you're right. Like, you just tuck your head really low, and then you just land or you don't, and that's you really can't see shit. But you're right, it does feel more comforting.
Yeah, you have more control over a backflip actually too, just because of the way you rotate and the axes. And the front flip is like, you can definitely control it, and like the more you like practice it, like you'll narrow it down. But it's a little more volatile sometimes,
I would imagine so. I've eaten it plenty of times on that, where I either over rotate or side rotate, and then you like land weird and
boom or boom.
Either before and back. But the thing that I thought was interesting was like the Ninja Warrior training stuff. That feels like a kid on a playground, like testing new toys for the playground, right? Like,
yeah, man.
That had to have been a cool experience. Tell me a little bit about that.
100%. Actually, when I was a kid, I used to watch Ninja Warrior, and I was like, I want to do that. I bet you I could do that. And coming out here to LA, I got the opportunity to do that because my ex-girlfriend at the time, Ninja Natalie, was a big ninja, and then she introduced me to the community with afterwards like Travis, who you know, Travis
Sure.
Brewer Ninja,
Yeah.
and they were like heavily involved in the Ninja Warrior community. And slowly, I started getting into the world of like testing the obstacles. So they would hire us to like come on set and test obstacles before the competitors go on the show. So to make sure that it's structurally sound, the level of difficulty is like up to par. It's not too easy. It's not too hard.
Yeah.
So that was really awesome. I did that for a few years out here.
That's so wild.
I just literally got to play around and test all the obstacles that I once saw on TV, and was like, oh, I bet you I could do that. And I got to prove to myself that I could.
That feels good.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. To be able to watch something as a kid and then be a part of it, just is a great story in itself. And then to be able to prove to yourself, like that inner kid of like, I know I can run up that 14-foot half pipe thing that you run. You know what I'm talking about? That quarter pipe that they make you run up. And you're like, I bet I could do that. And then you actually get to try it.
100%. Yeah.
It feels so good. I feel like a lot of the stuff that you've been a part of and what I see as far as your messaging and stuff is really about like finding your warrior, and you have a retreat that you're doing, Awaken Warrior. And so how did that spawn? Was that through this or?
Yeah. So it's funny, like the Awaken Warrior like combines a bunch of different modalities in one, and it's kind of like taking all of our trainings that I've done over the course of like my entire life, essentially, is martial arts, gymnastics, parkour, calisthenics, and now bringing in the element of mindfulness, meditation, energy work, and bringing all these different modalities to essentially create like a real life Jedi training and a real life ninja training.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I do that with my business partner Travis, who he brings in the ninja element component. I bring in like the Jedi and the weapons and the stuntman thing, and together we also bring in the mindfulness and energetic work and some spirituality elements in there too.
Sure.
While incorporating a very key part and important element which is nature as well.
I agree with you there. I feel like a lot of people miss that part. Probably my favorite. I used to work out in gyms and stuff, and then I found there's right next to my house, there's a little park that they just rebuilt and has this whole workout system outside, and the best workouts are outside. And then I was just in the mountains last week, and something about just walking around with a bunch of trees, and there was snow, and just being outside in the air and just being quiet is just, there's nothing like it. Same with the beach. The beach has that same element when you're just running on the beach, or you were doing acro on the beach, and then the waves are there, and you're just like, wow, this feels different than doing it somewhere else.
Powerful, man.
Yeah.
That's like our bodies naturally crave to be in nature, whether we know it or not. Like as a kid, I always thought I was a city boy. I was actually scared of nature for a while.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like I just preferred to be in the cities, and I was very excited by the city life and stuff.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Mexico, but I was born in Texas.
Got it. Okay.
I was born in El Paso, and then I lived in Dallas for 10 years.
That's okay.
But then I moved to Europe, France, Italy, Monaco.
We'll get back to this.
Okay.
We'll get back to this. Sorry to interrupt your story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But yeah,
You were afraid of nature.
Afraid of nature, but then the more I got older, the more my body started just to crave this. And it wasn't actually till I started living in New York City, like archetype of like the definition of a city, you know, overstimulation, always on the go. Like it started to take a toll on my soul, and I was like, man, I need to get out of the city every now and then. And living out there, I had to I would go camping or like go back to Mexico, visit my parents like every few months, because it was a lot. And I noticed how recharging it is to like go back into nature, in the woods, at the beach, and just ground yourself, you know.
I always go away and then come back 10 times stronger.
Yeah.
I feel like, wow. I just went camping in Joshua Tree a couple weeks ago in the middle of December. It was like super cold. And it was awesome though. It was great, man. We had such a good time, and we camped in the middle of nowhere. There was no one around us, and it was just, I sat out by the fire till 2 a.m. just looking at stars, and I saw my first shooting star. I'm an adult, man, and I haven't seen one of those before. Partially is because I never wear glasses, but I need them for further away.
Yeah.
So I'll be out in the woods. I'm like, I'm not wearing glasses out here. But for whatever reason, I was like, I'll put them on. And I looked up and I was like, holy shit, the stars are crazy. And, And I saw my first shooting star.
That's awesome, man.
But that feeling, though, of just getting that and then coming back to the city, getting your grind, get your work, go back out, recharge.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're doing with these retreats with the Awakened Warrior. And that's actually how it originated. It originated actually for one of the campouts that we did for Travis's birthday. We went up to the redwoods up north and just camped out with friends, and we got like a workout in the middle of nature and used like nature as our little playground. And then we came back and we're just like, it was just so recharged, and we're like, man, I feel like we need to share this with people. More people need to know about this. So that's exactly what we do. We take people out, we go camping in the middle of nature and train all these different modalities out there. So the trainings become like tenfold stronger, and then we come back super recharged because we're in nature. We'll have moved our bodies, we're eating healthy, and connecting with community and like-minded people.
Right,
you're like on a new high.
Right, because it's so many layers. It's not just I worked out. It's not just I'm outside. I'm also eating well, and then that sense of community is just so strong because everyone there has the same mindset. They all want to have good energy. They want to have a good time. They want to feel good. They want to look good. They want to have great presence, and nature, I feel like, really draws that out, where a lot of places, if you're sitting somewhere in a room, right, you're waiting, the first thing we do is pull out our phone and look at it, right?
Yeah.
When I'm sitting outside in nature, not like in the city, I guess, but when you're in nature, that's like the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like staring at a log for 40 minutes, just like, that's crazy, huh? Like counting the layers of bark. I'm just like, what is going on here? I'm looking at all the leaves, and not even a thought crosses my mind of what's on my phone. And so I feel like that's probably another compounding element of that is you're so present. All these things are stacked that you're not looking at your phone. You're just
100%
having a good time, which we need more of.
Yeah. You go out to disconnect to reconnect, you know?
I always tell people that for the first few years of growing my business, I was a grinder. All I did is I work all the time. All I did was just think about it, and my life was miserable doing it. And that was it. If it wasn't work, I don't want to do it. And I've recently, through the pandemic, was really where I learned it, was that the pandemic forced me to stop working for the first time, which was like crazy for me. I was like, this is, what am I going to do with myself? I had no idea. And what I learned from that experience of not working was that going out in nature and doing fun things and taking care of yourself is almost like a slingshot. You feel like you're being pulled back and you feel like you're falling behind, and then all of a sudden,
that's a great analogy.
You're launched so much further than you would if you were working super hard and every day you work really hard, you're like not recharging, so you're just running on 1% for weeks, months at a time,
and then it starts to slow down your growth. Yeah, you're absolutely
right.
You
can't grow. How could I grow if I'm at 1% all the time?
Right, even though you are working all the time and you feel like you're not losing time, but you're not working as efficiently as you could.
It's low quality work, low quality, high quantity, and like that. I don't want that anymore. I want high quality work and honestly low quantity, but I like the balance. I like to be in the zone where I stay here late and get stuff done, but I also like to go away and have a good time and make sure that I prepare for that time. So work a little extra more now to then go have a good time, feel comfortable, and then come back just like, yes.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with everything you're saying, man, because like I definitely consider myself a grinder and a hustler, like especially like New York City. Living in New York City, I had to like work 5 different jobs, like literally 24/7, and I was happy to do it, you know? And so that kind of instilled this work ethic in me to a fault, actually, sometimes, like to the point where I don't give myself rest days. And that was like, that's a hard thing for me to do. But lately I've been forcing myself to give myself at least 1 day of rest per week where I just don't do anything. And it's been able to like help me just recharge mentally. And like, I come back the next time like so stronger, instead of feeling like, yeah, I'm going to like 1% like all this whole time. And it's just like, I'm still working and grinding, but the progress is minimal. So like I give myself that 1 day of rest. There might be like a small little dip that day, but then the next day it takes it to the next level.
Yeah, it's doubled.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. But we don't learn that. We watch movies that say grind every day. We see social media, this guy's working on Sunday and now whatever that, and we've been programmed to work all the time. But yet in other cultures, in other countries, people still take naps during the day. The whole place will shut down from at like noon to 2 because that's still really important.
Exactly. But there is some truth to all that. Like you said, like, you know, like the late nights that you stay here, like if it won't be like a classic 9-to-5 job. There might be those 4 or 5 days a week where you're going hard and you're going late nights and it's like full force and 100% that grind mentality. But you can't be doing that the whole time, and
No.
you need to give yourself those rests.
No, you can't sustain that way. You really lose a lot that way of yourself, and just you're not progressing. There is a time where you need to work really hard, but in between that you need to find ways to decompress, or else you're just carrying around all this stress, and the brain under stress is not a good brain to have. It doesn't really operate the same as a clear-headed mind person, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I did want to kind of pull back, is that I was really stoked to hear about all these places that you lived, and I know that you speak how many languages now?
I speak 4 languages fluently.
4 fluent, yeah.
And then I dabble in a few others. So French, English, Spanish, and Italian fluent.
Yeah.
And then currently learning Portuguese and Russian.
Gosh, that's crazy. How did you learn these languages? Is it from your different households, or what?
When I was a kid, my parents put me in an international school, and that's where I learned French.
Oh,
So I
wow.
speak Spanish at home. I
Yeah.
learned French and English in school.
Ah,
And then when we moved to Europe, I picked up another language, which was Italian. We lived in Monaco, which is right between France and Italy. So
Mhm.
they spoke both languages there.
wow. And so you just come back, and all of a sudden you're fluent in 4 languages, and you're like, that's pretty cool. Like, just
Yeah,
do you talk to a lot of people in different languages, or do you?
I do. I love speaking to people in their own language. And
Yeah.
even when I travel to another country and I don't know the language, I do my best to like learn
Mhm.
a few key words here and there, because I've noticed like even if there's just a little bit of effort, they really appreciate that, you know?
They do. Yeah. Anytime I've traveled to a different country and didn't know, it feels almost automatic. And it's really weird how you go to another country and then it's so immersive that you end up learning a lot of words in a very
Yeah.
short time, where you can be here and going to school or trying to learn language, and it's just not the same. You just all of a sudden shoved into a market, no one speaks English, and you're trying to figure it out, and you'll learn it. You'll learn parts of these languages.
Exactly.
And that makes sense, living in Monaco.
Yeah. When people ask me like, what's the best way to learn a language, I always tell them that like, go immerse yourself in that country. Go and like give yourself no other option but to like constantly hear it in the back of your mind.
Sure.
And learn it there. That's the best way to learn.
Yeah, I'm on day like 458 of Duolingo, and I still can't speak fluent Spanish. I'm like still hobbling along. I'm like, man, I gotta just go to Mexico for a month and come back, and I'll be
Yeah, dude.
dialed more in. But yeah, man, the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about too was just about motorcycle riding and all that other stuff. You have some news, and you got all kinds of stuff going on there.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, like, so when it comes to motorcycle riding, you have a preference on bikes? Do you have anything you like, or?
I do. So when I lived in New York, I had a street bike. I had a Triumph Street Triple.
I love that bike.
And I think to this day, it's still my favorite bike.
Did it have the whistle on the, like that, like when you that?
Yeah.
That thing is
Yeah,
sick.
you hear the Triumphs like when they pass by. They have a very, very distinct sound, and
Mhm.
specifically that
that
Street
one
Triple.
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
I'm like-
you really notice it.
Like, there's my bike.
Yeah, that's a fun bike. And then do you have a bike now? Are you riding now?
Currently, no bike right now, but
Yeah.
a few years ago, I was sponsored by Harley Davidson, so I kind of switched up the riding style, and it was
Sure.
like cool to like experience that, because it's funny when I moved out to California, I saw myself like I imagined myself riding a Harley. I was like, oh, let's switch it up a bit. Let's get a different type of bike. And I was like, okay, Harley's appropriate. And then started riding for Harley for a bit. Got to like experience their like fleet
Yeah.
of motorcycles, and that was super cool.
Wow. Yeah.
And as of recently, I think now I'm gonna go and test out Indian motorcycles. See how
That's
how
gonna
those
be
feel.
cool. That's gonna be really cool. And they've been around for so long too. I mean, they're like one of the elite bikes from. They're great motorcycles too. I've always been a street bike guy too. So
Yeah.
I just got a BMW GS 700. So it's like an adventure bike.
Nice. That was the one that we saw on your social media
Yeah,
recently.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
so I have this adventure bike, which is very different for me. It's actually surprisingly pretty quick. 0 to 60, like you can get to 60 in first gear, which is pretty like
What, in first gear?
yeah,
Damn.
yeah. I mean, I'm redlining, but like
Yeah.
in first gear, if I just hold it back, I'll get up there,
Oh.
which was pretty quick, man. Because I think my street bike did maybe like 70 or 80 in first gear. So
Wow. Yeah. Have you taken that bike off roading yet?
no, I do have knobby tires though. For
Will
it.
you?
Yeah, I would.
It's fun.
Yeah, I would for sure. And
It's a
got
different
pan-
animal.
Yeah, it's weird because I've ridden dirt bikes before,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like it. I'd rather ride a four-wheeler, and I'd rather ride a motorcycle. I don't like a dirt bike because it feels so different because I learned riding a motorcycle first.
Yeah.
And so it feels so like flimsy and like I'm
toy.
I'm
like a
gonna
toy.
like fall out, like it's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
just
yeah.
fall out from underneath me. But yeah, I'm excited to start riding, and when you do start working with them and stuff, let me know because
Absolutely, we'll go for a ride,
yeah, it'd be fun, man.
bro. And suits, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of
Got
course,
to.
right? But yeah,
Yo, do you follow this guy? Man, I forgot. He's based in New York. He rides motorcycles. I think it's Palma something. But he has this. I think it was a Ducati, or he rides like street bikes, but like in like just prime suits, and it looks so good. You've seen like some of his videos like go viral.
no, I have to
But
check it out.
I'll send you his stuff.
Yeah, there's a guy in England who is with has like a Triumph, and he
Yeah,
does it, and it looks really sharp.
Just like suits and like cars and motorcycles. Like, oh, dude, honestly, suits and anything just look so good, bro.
Suits on anything do look good. I think what you guys are doing is pretty wild because you can do suits in the motorcycle, but then you can also do suits and stunts, and you're doing I mean, like it's unbelievable. You guys are holding each other up upside down and all these crazy things and doing these really aesthetic looking poses. The one that you guys did recently where
With Jose.
yeah, where you're holding on the side of the wall is like, I never would have
Yeah.
thought of that.
I'm a big advocate just for everything looks better in a suit. Like you could literally do anything in a suit and it'll look good. you know?
Yeah.
But of course, a nice tailored suit, not a baggy, like just
Yeah.
anything you get.
Not
It's
a court suit.
No.
It's got to be a nice one, right?
Yeah, but I love bridging that world of like movement and movement artists and like putting that into suits, you know?
Yeah, you used the word that I was just thinking about was artist, and that's really cool because I feel like you guys, you really are like, you're artists with what you do. It's not just this structural thing where I hold you up and it's like this moving poetry, if you will. And it's really beautiful, and it's really cool how you guys do that. How do you expand on that? How do you learn and try some new stuff that hasn't been done or that you've never seen before? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I gotta say you have to have the right wardrobe, and that's all thanks to you, bro.
Well, thank you.
Like the stretchy suits that you've given us have allowed us to like really fully explore that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, because like can't be doing this in like regular suits. It inhibits our movement so much. That's like one thing I've always looked in my suits for is the mobility aspect. Because I like to be comfortable and stuff, and I want to be able to like move and do flips and stuff in these suits. So
normal suits will also rip. When you, like,
yeah, it would rip for sure.
Yeah, you guys are pretty like extreme when it comes to this stuff. So it's not like, oh, I'm just rolling around. It's like you're like.
We like to push the envelope.
Yeah. Well, you do a good job of it. It's really, like I said, I can't compliment you guys enough. It's really cool with that whole community, and what you guys are doing specifically is just.
Thank you, man.
Notch.
Thank you. Yeah, but to answer your question, we just kind of get together and like let our creative juices flow. And first, it starts off with like a stupid idea or a dumb idea or a dangerous idea, actually. And we're like, oh, what if we did this, like jokingly? And then we're like, oh no, but actually, what if we did this? And then we start breaking it down. I was like, okay, we feel comfortable doing this, and this step. How could we get to here without making it as risky as it actually seems? And we start to like workshop some moves and stuff, and we play around with that. That's literally how we've been able to like level up our skill set.
Yeah, it's been, you're like, well, let's try this. I don't know if we should try. Let's try it.
Yeah, we're going for it.
Yeah. Every time I see this stuff, I'm like, wait, what did I just watch? And I have to watch it like 7 times to see someone spin upside down and flip. And I'm sure that's a really cool community to be a part of. And it's really cool for you because you've kind of made everything that you do cycle back into one thing. It's all about movement and who you are and that spirituality and art, really. So when it comes to martial arts, when it comes to like yoga and acrobats and being a stuntman, like all these things really kind of just feed all into that same pot without you being like so far out of your own realm, if that makes sense. Like you've kept all these really cool subcategories of one category instead of being like a master of or whatever. What is it? A master of one thing. You've in your category. You stick to your niche is what I'm trying to say.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes. But you stick within your category really well. You're not out here doing whatever, some insane stuff that's so far out of your wheelhouse. You stick in it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's been a double-edged sword a little bit, like in the sense of like you said, yeah, a little bit of a jack of all trades, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
But it's allowed me to like fully develop my own style and what it means to be a movement artist for myself. Is
Yeah.
because like I bring a few different disciplines and into one,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's not really like that one category that I just fit in, like, oh, I'm just acro yoga or just martial arts or just gymnastics or just this and that. Like I have say like 3 or 4 disciplines that I train heavily,
Mm-hmm.
and then it all comes back to one, and that's kind of my training style nowadays.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what I mean. These several things made you the best at what you do. And it's really cool because not a lot of people put these things all together, but they all really go hand in hand, and it's really nice. I mean, it's kind of like making suits and selling suits, right? Like they're both in the suit world, but they're two different strengths, and then that's what I do. So it's not so far-fetched for me to make something and also sell it, right? And so that's kind of the same thing I'm kind of saying. But regardless, is that I wanted to know about your personal like fashion style and sense. I feel like every time I see you in and out of the suit, right, is that you have your own flares. You do kind of you wear stuff that's really, I don't know. Tell me a little bit about your style is what I'm getting to.
Yeah, I've always loved fashion. I've always like paid close attention to the things I wear. I believe everything is an expression of us, and we are all artists. You know,
Yeah.
the way we talk, the way we dress, the way we walk, everything. So it's like really zoning into that, and like what I've had a very fun journey developing that style.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of my uncles on my father's side, he's a fashion designer in New York. So I feel like he kind of like ran in the family a little bit. But yeah, I've always customized my clothing ever since I was a kid. Like I never really liked the like classic, I wouldn't say clean cut, but like just classic style that everyone would do, or like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I like different, you know? And then little by little, I kind of started developing my own style, and and it works. And I love dressing in all sorts of clothes, like from rags to suits.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I feel like that. I've seen all of them. I mean, especially like with what you guys are doing more on the beach. It's like you guys are wearing shorts most of the time, right? And then I see you and you're in a full blown suit, and then you're wearing the suit in different ways too. You style it individually to you, which is cool. Ways sometimes I see some of the stuff you post, I'm like, oh, it looks really sharp. It's very different than how you would see it traditionally, right?
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
it's just nice to see you kind of move it around and make it your own. And I was going to talk to you about like when it comes to spirituality and people finding their inner warrior, right? What are some things that you recommend to people? What are some ways to find that?
Well, one of the things that we lean in on when we do the warrior trainings is that one thing that sports have taught me and have taught like many athletes is like when you do a sport competitively, that teaches you discipline, that teaches you perseverance, that teaches you bravery and courage to overcome some like fears. And that's what gymnastics taught me.
Yeah.
And to push yourself to do hard things on the daily, so that when the time comes for you in life, it forces you to do hard things outside of your own free will, you'll be able to face that. You'll be able to face that obstacle and overcome that obstacle.
That makes sense. If you're doing things that are inconvenient or hard frequently, it becomes less distant when it actually needs to be done.
Exactly.
Right?
Like something as simple as just having a regular movement practice, like forcing yourself to go work out or go to the gym when you don't feel like it. Those are the most important times, because that's when you're pushing yourself and like to do a hard thing. You don't want to do that in that moment, but you're developing that mental muscle, you know, and something like cold plunges too.
Yeah.
They're not very comfortable,
No.
but it's that mental barrier, overcoming it. Most of the time it's just mental. Your body can handle it. It's not going to go into hypothermia or anything like that. You can handle a lot before
you
your body
actually
breaks
give
down.
up. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is a really wild thing of how far you can go how far you can go is a lot further than you think. And I found that out recently. Maybe a year ago, I was in Las Vegas, and then my buddy bet me that I couldn't swim across the pool and back underwater. He started putting more rules on it as we're about to do this thing. And I was like, okay, I got it. Okay, all right, I understand. I had to swim I had to go underwater, push off the wall, swim all the way across this pool, then swim all the way back, completely underwater. You can't come up. And it wasn't like a normal size like house pool. It was pretty big. And I got to tell you, man, I hit the other wall and I was like, I'm going to drown. And I was like, I can go a little further though. And I kept swimming. And I'm like, all my might. And I started letting out a little air and I'm like, I'm going to drown. And I'm like, well, I could go a little further and like a little bit further. And my girlfriend actually was the one who taught me that. She was a swimmer and she can hold her breath for like 4 minutes underwater.
Wow.
Like it's insane. And so she was telling me the secret is to like slowly let out a little bit of air and it will keep you calm. And like you have to remain calm and just slowly let out a little bit of air. She's like, you're not going to drown. You can just stand up, like stop freaking out. And so as I keep inching forward and now I'm about halfway, I made it all the way one side. Now I'm coming all the way back. And that feeling, man, is like crushing pressure and you're so scared and you're like, I can do it. I can do it. I think I can do it a little bit further. And then finally I was at that point where I was like, I can do this. But it took me all the way back, all the way almost to the very front that I finally had that switch of I can do it. The whole time was
to convince yourself.
I had to convince myself, and I did. And I was blown away because I've never done anything like that before. I'm not known for my holding my breath. I don't have any of that stuff. And so that feeling though of knowing that there's a lot more that we're capable of is once you realize it, you're like, wow, I didn't know that I had limiting beliefs, and now they're exploded.
Exactly. It takes you to the next level. You're absolutely right. And free diving and like holding your breath and underwater like that is a perfect example because your body can withstand that a lot longer than what we think. It's just the uncomfortable feeling that we feel inside of us. This accumulation of the CO2 that starts to be like, oh, I need to breathe. But no, it's just, like laying down a little bit of air that helps you go a long way. But yeah, we can we can be underwater, even passed out for a little while before we actually die,
Right,
it's
it's not
more than what we think.
Yes, and that's wild because that's not something you ever think of.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to go home and drown myself in my bath. Just 4 minutes, I'll wake up. Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Please don't try this at home, kids.
No, don't try this at home. But yeah, man, I feel like that you really have put a lot into that energy and mindfulness and things like that. Is there any other things that you have as far as like mindfulness of tips or things that people should kind of explore, I guess?
The biggest thing is discipline. Like do things consistently, have a movement practice because our bodies are meant to move.
Yeah.
When we don't move, it's stagnant energy.
Yeah.
And then this doesn't work as well as if when all this flows. So have that discipline to have a consistent movement practice and do hard things often. Push yourself. Whatever you're scared of, go force yourself to face some fears. When I left my house and I went to college, I started to little by little take off all the things that I was scared of. And one of the things I was most scared of as a child was the military, actually. And my dad used to he used to threaten me when I was misbehaving, oh, I'm gonna send you off to military school, and I was terrified. I did not want that.
Wow, yeah.
So it got to the point where I was I literally sought out the military experience. I went to go get military training on my own volition to just face that fear.
Yeah.
I did what we called a platoon leader class in college, which is kind of like a more advanced ROTC for officer. It's officer candidate school.
Sure.
And it's a no commitment type of program. You don't have to enlist until you graduate college, and so
then you have the option.
And then you have the option, yeah. So I went and sought that out, and I got military training throughout my college years, and yeah, because I did that because it scared me, and I wanted to overcome that.
Yeah.
So
that's a great feeling.
Facing your fears is a big one.
How amazing is it when you come out the other side of it?
It's so rewarding.
It's crazy.
It's
right?
so rewarding, and that's another thing that gymnastics taught me. Whenever we try new skills, it's you have that oh shit moment. Don't freak out, or am I going to be able to make it? Am I going to do it? In parkour, it's they literally taking the leap. Taking that leap of faith. When they're about to jump, you gotta fully send it.
You gotta own that.
Yeah. And if there's any hesitation, that's where the injuries happen, or things don't go according to plan.
Yeah, in skateboarding we call it committing.
Exactly.
You gotta
commit. It's got full send.
Keep the board on you and just do it, and don't kick away. That's
you half-ass that, you're guaranteed it's gonna
hard.
fuck up.
And it's hard too because you you get yourself all worked up, and at the very last second you have that hesitation, and then boom, you hurt yourself. And so that feeling afterwards of getting hurt, trying it and trying it and trying it, and then finally landing it is like the drug that keeps me doing these crazy things. Is because I'm like, oh my gosh, it felt so good to
got it. You know.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had that feeling, man, all the time. Like
most of the time, it's not even physical. You know, it's like it's mental. The biggest hurdle, because like especially when you're practicing something, you know, and I'm sure even in skateboarding too, like where you're about to send a trick, like even if you're leveling it up, it's like it's when you hold back and you don't fully believe in yourself that like, you know, oh, you kick away or like you don't land it, but like when you fully send it, like you're gonna land it.
You're gonna do it.
It's when it happens, you know.
Most times I'll think that I want to do something, right, and say it's skateboarding related, right. I'll be at the top of a stair set and I'll be like, okay, I think I can do this. And then I like look at it a couple times, and then I get closer and closer, and then I'll try one with no expectation, just like throw it.
Yeah.
And then that is like the first step of the confidence builder of like, I just checked it out and I think I can do this. And then that little seed of I think I can get stronger and stronger as the attempts get better and better. And that's, I feel like probably a similar thing is like as soon as you get just a little taste of success of it, of like, oh wow, I'm really close.
100%.
That's when you're like, all right, I'm gonna do this thing, and then guess what? You do it right after, and it's hard to get that mental confidence of I'm gonna do it before you even try it. That's the hardest part.
Absolutely, and it's all in that first try too. Of like, you know, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And same in acrobatics too. When we're about to throw a skill, the first one is literally, it's just to get it out of the way. We're not going to overthink it. We know like the first one's not going to be the best one, but it's to get over that fear. Be like, okay, we did it. Nothing terribly wrong happened. Now we can actually send it with a little more confidence.
Yeah. Wow. How do you guys stay safe? How do you like, in skateboarding, you kind of like learn how to fall. Is that kind of a similar thing? Yeah,
we definitely learn how to fall too. And that definitely helps mitigate the injuries. But then also is like if there's any sort of hesitation, especially when you're working in teams of people in acrobatics, kind of like what we do with positive impact movement. Is like if there's any sort of hesitation on any one of us, it could cost the person that's flying like an injury. So anyone that hesitates, like we stop it right away. If we're not 100%, all four of us, we don't throw it until we're ready.
Until you're ready. That makes sense. A group, we all work together. It needs to be 100% and make it right. Wow. What are some stuff that you do that's not related to this? What are some other passions that you have that aren't into, let's call it, movement activities, right? Like what are some of the secret things that you like to have, things you like to do, enjoy?
Well, one of the things I shared with you is like I eventually want to start a clothing line as well. So I love I love fashion. I love creativity and creating that, and we're slowly starting to do that with the Awakened Warrior, having some merch here and there. But I would love to start developing some pieces, like for example what you did with that sweater, like piecing together a few different pieces like that.
That's I can totally see that. You said your uncle was in it, right?
Yes, that, and then just like anything creative, like I also shoot photo and video, which I haven't been focusing so much on lately, but just because I'm focusing more on like zoning in on like a few different things instead of doing like a bunch of different things. But I love to shoot, and
that's like a pastime that you can enjoy yourself doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a tricky one too, because I can imagine for what you do and like for social media and stuff, you're shooting yourself doing a lot of stuff often, and so sometimes it might feel like this is work. And do you ever go out in nature and like just take pictures of like trees and
lately I've been doing that a lot more with my phone now. Like I've just like, because it's like quick and easy to like get
just
it quick.
Set up and just get the thing.
But I've also just been focusing more on outsourcing the shooting, of like partnering with more photographers and videographers, so I could take a little more load off of my plate, and so I can focus more on the performing side of things and the training and all that. So
what's the next thing for you? What's the next big thing you want to, what are you trying to accomplish this year or soon? What are you working on?
Next thing is stunts and acting. Going full force, action movie actor, stuntman.
That's what you're
going full force, and I'm going to be in DC, Marvel movies, like all this stuff. That's why I'm here in LA.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Man, I know someone who does that, and I need to connect you guys.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. I need to connect you to him. Off topic, but yeah, dude, that's crazy. Can you imagine that? I've seen you do Spider-Man. You're pretty damn good at it, dude.
That's a big one, man. That's a big one too. Is like I want to become the next Spider-Man.
You should, man. You can actually. Who's it? Tom Cruise who does all his own stunts?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's what
pretty
I'm going
crazy,
for.
right? Like
Tom Cruise, Tom Holland. Maybe I should change my name to Tom too.
Tom.
All the Toms.
Yeah,
No,
right. Yeah,
just kidding.
it's pretty wild. Doing stunts is really crazy because you are actually you're hurting yourself in a safe way.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly.
You're purposely doing. I mean, damn, I watched you guys do the Kingsman in here, right? Like,
Yeah.
that you guys were doing stunts, you were fighting each other, and it was just like bizarre watching you guys like punch each other and beat each other up and do flips and stuff, but no one got hurt.
We mitigate the hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
or the
nuts,
injuries.
man.
Yeah.
To fall on
it's so
purpose.
much fun. It's like that's literally what makes my soul come alive. And like if money wasn't an issue and like I never had to work another day in my life, I would still be pursuing this.
You do the same thing.
Yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I understand that. I feel like that's where people are the happiest is when they find something they like and they would do it without being paid.
Exactly.
You find something that you just enjoy so much that even if it made you no money, you're like, I don't care. This is what I do. And then if it makes you money, you're like, awesome. The trick is when you find something you're passionate about and then you start making money on it, how to keep enjoying it, because people forget
It becomes
work, and it's like, this wasn't always work.
Mhm.
For me, like making stuff and sewing stuff or whatever, I don't always need to film it. There doesn't always need to be a camera. This doesn't need to be something I have to share with anyone. I can just do it for me.
Yeah.
And that's really where I'm sure you feel the same way. You don't have to go out in the woods and have everyone film and whatever. You can just go out there and have a good time.
Yeah.
And that's cool about your retreat and all that stuff. That's what that is, right?
Mhm.
When's your next retreat? You have one coming up?
Next retreat is March 21st through the
Sweet.
24th.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude.
We'd love to have you out on one of these, man.
That'd be really fun. I think I know Yvette would like that too. She's been talking about stuff like that too. But well, I guess we'll have to March 21st to the 24th. You guys got to be there.
Yes. Look us up on Instagram, Awakened Warrior Tribe, and our website is theawakenedwarriors.com. You can see more information on there.
Yeah, we'll get you in there because that's got to be a cool experience. And
Yeah.
you guys are you guys like camping? You bring tents? Or
So we
what
do
is it?
campouts. We put you guys up in tents, in these tents called shift pods, and
I've seen those.
yeah, they're like spaceman looking like tents.
Yeah, it's crazy looking.
And we do trainings all weekend long. We start off like every morning with like a meditation practice or journaling practice, and then we get more into the physical elements of like fun functional fitness. We do weapons training. We have martial arts, and then at night times we have like sound baths and like bonfires and just like more moments for connection.
Wow. Hey, that's like a whole day activity.
Yeah, we do that 3 days in a row and like come back fully recharged, ready to take on the world.
Wow, that's really cool. I like that a lot, and I'm glad. And that's really cool that you guys started that too. It's something that you put together, and
very passionate about it.
I hope to see it grow even bigger than what it is, right? Like
it will. We have big plans for this.
that makes me really happy. You guys gonna keep it in California for a little while? Or are you guys gonna start doing bigger trips?
We're gonna be doing trips all over the world. Right now we're focusing on California, just to like really narrow in like the recipe for success here, and
That makes
eventually we want to go and do retreats all over the world. Eventually I would love to like create schools with this, different schools of thought, just have like more permanent locations around the world, partner with different people, and just spread this movement of movement is medicine, prayer and play,
Yeah, a lot of people don't do anything to move their body or keep their mind right, and those are vital. How you can be super active, but if you're not taking moments to take care of your brain, it's the equivalent of it's the muscle of your body, right? Like
exactly.
You need to take care of that. And so anyway, I'm super proud of you. It's really cool seeing the stuff that you've done. It's really
Thank
cool
you, man.
seeing the
Thank you.
growth that you've been through, and it's cool seeing all these avenues that you've kind of just maneuvered through, and to see where you're at now and see what's next. I can't wait to see you on a screen kicking some guy in the head.
Yeah, man.
Doing some stunt.
And you can bet we'll be wearing your suits on the red carpets too.
That's right. Yeah. Well, anyway.
Before we wrap,
yeah.
I brought you a gift.
All right.
And quick little backstory on this gift.
Yeah.
When we used to live in Dallas, my father used to have a store where he did custom belts, buckles, jewelry.
Cool.
And I brought you one of his belts. And this
No
is
way.
and it's called Andreas Beckman. So this is This is a genuine alligator.
No way. Wow. Wow, dude. Andreas Backman. This is sick. Thank you.
You're welcome. Man.
I had a alligator belt years ago, and I loved it. And I loved this belt. And I was in Nashville 3 years ago, and this guy was my girlfriend's friend's boyfriend, and he loved this belt I was wearing. He loved it so much, he was like, I will buy it from you right now. I will buy the belt off your waist. And I was like, fuck, all right. And he paid more than what I bought it for, and I was like, all right, fine. And so I haven't had a cool alligator belt like this since. So I'm really grateful. Thank you, dude.
Nice. I'm glad.
What a cool,
look, it all comes full circle.
Man, that is tight. Sick, dude. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being on. And anything else? You got any other words you want to share? Anything you got to get out to the world before we?
I'm excited to do more of these and excited to create more with you, brother.
Always, man. Back at you. Well, that's it for Reap What You Sow. Have a good night.